The Simpsons, with its 36 seasons, is one of the longest-running and most beloved TV shows in history. With its sharp satire and comedic critique of modern society, it never fails to entertain and make us think. However, beneath this seemingly innocent production lies a chilling mystery. What if The Simpsons is more than just a TV show? What if it is a coded book of prophecies revealing fragments of our future with unsettling accuracy? From Donald Trump's presidency to the discovery of the Higgs boson, also known as the God particle, and even surprising technological advancements, the list of so-called The Simpsons predictions is both long and unsettling. But is this merely a coincidence, or is there a deeper, hidden conspiracy at play? Let's explore the truth behind The Simpsons prophecies that have taken the internet by storm. Since ancient times, humanity has been obsessed with the desire to see and understand the future. Figures like the oracles of Delphi, Nostradamus, and Edgar Cayce have attempted to read humanity's fate, with some making remarkably accurate predictions. However, none have been as precise as the yellow-skinned prophets of the modern era. A topic that has been heavily debated in internet forums over the past 20 years is whether The Simpsons can predict the future. Theories range from claims that the show's creators are high-ranking Freemasons, to suggestions that the writers are time travelers, or that the show is actually a government propaganda tool. But how does The Simpsons manage to predict events years before they happen with such eerie accuracy?
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu.
Oh, my juice loosener's never gonna come.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail.
One of the most famous predictions of the show is the reference to Donald Trump's presidency in an episode aired on March 19, 2000. The episode also depicts the country facing economic difficulties after Trump's presidency, with the new president attempting to restore the budget. In this episode, The Simpsons depicts a future where the US has its first female president, who refers to her predecessor as Donald Trump. 16 years later, on November 8, 2016, this prediction came true when Trump was elected president. A quick note: on social media, especially TikTok, many claim that The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump descending an escalator years before it happened. In reality, The Simpsons aired this scene after Trump actually made that movement. So this was not a prediction, but rather an added scene based on real events. I emphasize this because people tend to believe everything they see instantly. In the 10th episode of Season 5, aired in 1993, a white tiger is seen attacking its trainer during a circus act. Exactly 10 years later, Roy Horn was attacked by his own white tiger during a live performance. In the Simpsons movie, released in 2007, the National Security Agency, NSA, is shown eavesdropping on everyone. In 2013, whistleblower Edward Snowden revealed that the NSA was indeed running a mass surveillance program. In a 1996 episode of The Simpsons, a sign under the Fox logo reads, "A subsidiary of Walt Disney." Surprisingly, 21 years later, in 2017, Disney actually acquired Fox, making it part of its company. There are plenty of interesting coincidences, but two stand out as truly extraordinary. One hints at one of the biggest conspiracy theories of modern times, while the other seemingly predicts one of the most significant scientific discoveries 15 years before it happened. On September 21st, 1997, in the episode The City of New York versus Homer Simpson, Lisa runs to her family holding a magazine. The cover features the words New York in bold letters, with the Twin Towers forming the number 11 and a large $9 sign in the foreground. Many conspiracy theorists believe this scene eerily foreshadows the 9/11 attacks, which occurred exactly 5 years later. Another striking prediction comes from the world of science. In 2012, scientists at CERN, near Geneva, Switzerland, announced one of the most groundbreaking discoveries in physics, the Higgs boson. However, in a 1998 episode of The Simpsons, The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer Simpson writes an equation on a chalkboard. Initially, it appears random, but when analyzed by physicists years later, they found that this formula closely approximated the Higgs boson's mass. The difference between Homer's equation and the real experimental results? Only 0.0116 grams. So how can a cartoon make such incredible predictions? Is it all part of a secret conspiracy? Not quite. How many writers does a typical TV show have? 5, 10, maybe 20? The number varies depending on the project, but it usually doesn't reach extreme levels. However, guess how many people have worked as writers for The Simpsons over the years? It is estimated that at least 155 writers have contributed to the show. That's a significant number, and what's even more fascinating is that many of them have backgrounds in various academic and professional fields. For example, one of the show's earliest writers, Al Jean, has a mathematics degree from Harvard University. Mike Rice majored in English literature at Harvard. David X. Cohen studied physics at Harvard and later earned a master's degree in computer science from Berkeley. Jeff Westbrook completed a mathematics degree at Harvard and pursued a PhD in computer science at Princeton University. The list continues with numerous experts in chemistry, physics, mathematics, literature, and social sciences. Some might ask, what do these people have to do with our topic? The answer is simple. If you gather exceptionally intelligent individuals and have them write scripts based on scientific advancements and social trends, it's highly likely that some of their storylines will accurately predict future events. One of the best examples of this is the Higgs boson prediction I mentioned earlier. In an episode of The Simpsons, Homer Simpson is seen experimenting at home and writing a formula on a chalkboard that estimates the mass of the Higgs boson. This equation turned out to be astonishingly close to the actual value you discovered 15 years later. The person responsible for including this scene in the show was David X. Cohen, one of the Simpsons writers. However, Cohen didn't work alone. He collaborated with David Szymanowicz, a physics professor at Columbia University, just to create an incredibly complex advanced physics formula for a few seconds of screen time. And 15 years later, experiments showed that the formula's predicted value was extremely close to the actual measured mass of the Higgs boson. Of course, since we're talking about particle physics, there was a difference of 0.116 grams between the equation and the real results. Still, the fact that a joke equation turned out to match real scientific data was an incredible achievement. And that's exactly my point. Experts in various fields have incredibly broad perspectives. If you put them together with other specialists and ask them to come up with a humorous yet plausible future scenario, they are likely to produce some remarkably accurate predictions. Let me bring up the Donald Trump example again. Many people ask, how could they have predicted that he would become president? That's impossible. But in reality, The Simpsons depicted Trump as president 20 years after he was already being discussed as a potential candidate on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
People have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it. But I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
Trump had stated in several interviews over the years that he could be successful if he ever entered politics. Now, let's talk about Edward Snowden's revelation regarding NSA surveillance. Snowden exposed this issue in 2013, but The Simpsons had already hinted at it in 2007. However, once again, this was not a secret. Have you ever heard of the Echelon project? This surveillance program was initiated during the Cold War and became fully operational in the 1990s. Echelon was one of the largest American digital surveillance projects designed to monitor electronic communications worldwide. Yes, you were included in this too. Simply using certain trigger words could put you on the system's radar. In fact, even before The Simpsons or Snowden, Margaret Newsham, a former NSA contractor, had already exposed that Echelon was being used by the NSA. So The Simpsons didn't predict the future, they simply read the situation correctly. Scenes like Lady Gaga singing while suspended in the air or Lisa wearing the same color outfit as Kamala Harris are highly exaggerated. Thousands of artists have performed suspended in the air. Purple has historically represented power and authority, which is why many politicians wear it. Of course, when these scenes are taken out of context and edited for social media, they seem shocking. But in reality, these are just carefully crafted scenarios created by a highly skilled team of professionals. If we do some quick math, The Simpsons has made around 150 so-called predictions across its 776 episodes. However, only 30 of them have turned out to be fully or partially correct. So is The Simpsons the only show that does this? Of course not. In reality, predicting political and social trends is not that difficult. What's truly challenging is accurately forecasting technological advancements. Take Star Trek as an example. First aired in 1967, this series introduced concepts like holograms, teleportation, faster-than-light travel, cell phones, and robots, only 16 years after the first color TV was introduced. And it didn't just depict these technologies, it inspired scientists to develop them in real life. Today, NASA's faster-than-light travel experiments are based on the principles of the warp drive technology introduced in Star Trek. Science often follows science fiction, but here's an important distinction. Predicting that Lady Gaga would perform while suspended in the air is vastly different from foreseeing the creation of an atomic food synthesizer. I haven't even included Isaac Asimov's I, Robot, and Foundation series in this discussion, but I highly recommend reading them, because if you see what people predicted 20 years before Star Trek, it will blow your mind. In conclusion, there is no prophecy, just a well-structured writing and analysis system. Well, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support keeps us going. Share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.